We recently reacted to Husker Online's top 40 Nebraska Cornhuskers going into this season, and that list, to say the least, it was pretty questionable. There were a lot of things that I would change, so in today's video, I have done exactly that. I've done a lot of thinking, a lot of searching, and I can confidently tell you that I've made the perfect top 20 ranking for Nebraska players going into 2025. This list is very controversial. There are a lot of players who are higher than expected, lower than expected. Where's Dylan Raiola at? It's not where you think. What about Jacory, Barney? Who's the best player on this defense? There's a surprise at number 1, a surprise at number 2, surprises all throughout this ranking. I just know one thing, it's going to be a very fun video, so buckle up, folks. Hey, if you're excited, because I know I am, hit that like button. Also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for daily content? Talking your favorite team, talking Huskers. It's a no-brainer. Hit that subscribe button, join the family. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to get into. Going over my complete ranking of Nebraska's top 20 players going into this year. There are a lot of surprises along the way. Number 1 is a big surprise. Number 2 is a big surprise, and so much more. But we're going to work our way up. We're going to start with number 20. All the way up to number 1. Let's go to the offensive line and get things started with none other than Justin Evans, who in my opinion, the 20th best player on this roster for the Huskers, 3rd ranked offensive lineman. Now this is somebody who's played guard throughout his career. He's moving back to his traditional position at center. Somebody who's been very solid in the pass pro, been a leader. He had a great spring ball this year. The coaching staff, they're starting to talk a little bit recklessly about Justin Evans because I think he's going to take a huge jump forward along with the rest of the unit. So Justin Evans, somebody who from a physicality standpoint, he's the best he's been throughout his career. He looks the part. He's somebody, again, who has that positional versatility. The only reason why Justin Evans isn't higher on my list, although I'm very bullish on him, I think he's going to have a great year, is just because there's a lot of concerns of him in the run game, right? That's something that's been a huge liability throughout his career, so hopefully he continue to develop that. But Justin Evans is somebody who's a leader. He's a great signal caller on that offensive line, is somebody who's looking the part, and hopefully it's going to take another big jump and go to the NFL after this year. So we like to get things started with the offensive line. Let's go to number 19. None other than Andrew Marshall in the secondary. So this is kind of where a lot of the other reporters are putting him around kind of that 20 spot. I've seen as high as about 15. I'm bullish on Andrew Marshall. I think he's going to have a good year. But honestly, I don't think Andrew Marshall is going to be our starting corner alongside Sierra Wright. We'll get into who I think that's going to be. But Andrew Marshall is somebody who had a very strong spring practice. I saw him a couple times, just making play after play. He's very physical. He's a guy who's great speed. He can return kicks as well. So, he's going to get on the field a lot for Nebraska. They're going to utilize him all over the field. I can see him playing the nickel. I can see him be our starting kick returner as well. So Andrew Marshall's going to have a great year. I feel really good about the secondary. Like I'm very, very bullish about this secondary compared to a lot of people. And I think Andrew Marshall is a big reason why. Then you go to Willis McGahee at my 18 spot. Now, Willis McGahee is somebody who, man, I'm going to continue to hype him up because I think his potential is through the roof. We know, of course, his dad was a legendary Miami Hurricanes running back. So, he has that speed, he has that explosiveness. When he got on the field last year, he just made play after play. Again, 2 forced fumbles, led the team in that department, had a couple crucial sacks. So he's just somebody who, when he gets his name called, he's always going to go out there and compete at a high level. So, Willis McGahee is somebody who probably should have played a lot more last year, still had his red shirt burned. He's going to have a way bigger role this year. I think he's going to make the most of it. And then by far be our best pass rusher going into 2026. Then at number 17, I got Keona Davis. Now, Keona Davis, a lot of expectations. A lot of expectations. There's some people who are putting him close to the top 10. I'm not there yet with Keona Davis. I think, of course, he has, a very high potential. We saw some flashes, obviously, as the year progressed, especially in the bowl game. He played very well. But, I just got to see with my own eyes. I got to see consistently pretty much every single week for him to continue to develop himself because we know the potential's there. We know the upside's there. We know that he's been compared to Ndamukong Suh throughout his career so far with the Huskers. So, again, Keona Davis, from a potential standpoint, it's all there. He's probably going to start this year at that 3 technique spot, but just got to see it. I'm going to put him at 17. Then on to 16. I'm going to keep it with the defensive line. Riley Van Poppel, very similar, very high potential. Coaching staff continues to hype him up. Probably, again, he only played 4 games last year because they wanted to preserve his red shirt, because they wanted to kind of fix his body a little bit, had a lot of bad weight on him. But this is somebody who, kind of similar to Keona, they compare Keona to Suh. They compare Riley Van Poppel to Ty Robinson. I think if everything works out with Riley Van Poppel, he could be better than Ty Robinson. I think he has a higher potential, but again, got to prove it this year. Got to take that jump forward this year because, you didn't do much last year. You're redshirted, right? You're staying healthy. You're transforming your body. That's great. I'm not going to criticize you on that, but this year's finally year where you prove yourself because we have a bunch of younger defensive linemen trying to get reps over you. So hoping Riley Van Poppel can live up to expectations, but once again, guy with high potential, and I just got to put him at number 16. All right, let's get to Nyziah Hunter, this time at number 15. Now, this is somebody who, once again, very, very high on. Transfer from Cal to somebody who's 6'2", 210 pounds. Kind of had a slow start to his career so far with Nebraska. Had a slow winter conditioning, slow spring ball, but man, he really came along at the very end there. So Nyziah Hunter, somebody who once again has high potential, kind of does everything right. Where he's a very physical receiver, is good in the blocking department. He's not the biggest in the world. Doesn't have the greatest contested catch ability. He's not super speedy. He just does everything right. And he's a phenomenal route runner, which is why I'm very high on him. Very bullish on his future. So again, this receiver core is looking good, but can it finally live up to expectations? We'll see, and that's honestly the reason why he's probably not higher, just because I just don't know if he's going to live up to expectations along with the rest of the receiver core. So feel good about Nyziah Hunter, just not phenomenal. That's why he's probably not a little bit higher. I saw some rankings where he was in the top 10. I don't know if I'm there yet with Nyziah, but I think he's going to be a very, very solid player. Then on to number 14. I'm going to go with Amari Sanders. Now, this is somebody who I believe is going to be Nebraska's starting corner alongside Mr. Sear, right? So again, Amari Sanders, somebody who's very physical. He's about 6'2", long arms, somebody with good speed. Again, I mean, he just balled out. He's probably the MVP of spring ball this year. So I just see no reason why Amari Sanders, if he doesn't do exactly what he did a couple months ago in fall camp, I think he's going to start over Andrew Marshall. But again, both those guys are going to feel a lot. But I like Amari Sanders. I think he's going to be somebody who's in our plans for the long term. We saved his red shirt too. So, I mean, he's still got 4 years left. Obviously, if he lives up to expectations, he's not going to be here for all 4 of those years, going to go off to the NFL. But Amari Sanders, man, feeling good about his future with the Huskers. Really, really like him. And I think he's going to be our starting corner alongside Andrew Marshall. Then, where are we on? We're on number 13. We're going to go to Rocco Spindler on the offensive line. Now, Rocco's somebody who I've seen, in the top 10. I think 13 is a good spot for him. Like, Rocco Spindler is good, and he obviously started for Notre Dame in the national championship, but he got benched a couple times throughout his career there. In my opinion, he's just a very good starter. Not a great starter, not a future NFL starter, not somebody who's going to be an All-American, not somebody who's going to get a bunch of awards nationally. He's just going to be a good starter for you. And that's honestly all you really need. A veteran who's seen pretty much everything, played against physical defenses in the past. So I think Rocco Spindler is going to be an anchor of this offensive line. It's going to be likely at right guard. So we'll see what happens there with Spindler, but I feel good about it. I just don't think it's going to, like some people are saying he's going to be a third-round pick, second-round pick. Like, that's just not going to happen. He's somebody who's an older player. He's, again, he doesn't really have that high potential. He's just soft. And that's really all you need. So I'm going to put him at number 13. All right, now on to number 12, Cameron Lenhardt, in my opinion, the best defensive lineman on this team for Nebraska. I'm very bullish on him. I think while he was on the milk carton last year, a lot of people expected a lot from him, and he really didn't live up to expectations. That's not going to happen this year. Okay, Cameron Lenhardt is somebody who, once again, former four-star coming out of high school, great when he played on the field in 2023 as a true freshman. I just see no reason why he's not going to break out this year from everything we heard in spring ball with his physicality, with him continuing to get better in the pass rush. The swim moves being worked on, the bull rush getting worked on. So I think Cameron Lenhardt is going to be a leader on this defensive line. I think he's going to be sneakily in the mix to get a single digit. People really aren't talking about that. And again, he's been a Blackshin since he was 18 years old as a true freshman. Like, that's hard to do. So I think Cameron Lenhardt's going to have a big year. I'm going to put him at number 12. And then to round things off, before we get in the top 10, I'm going to get into Henry Lateef at number 11. In my opinion, this is Nebraska's best offensive lineman. Not only in my opinion, but in the opinion of the coaching staff too. There's a reason why he's attending Big Ten Media Days. There's a reason why people like Phil Snow put him on their all offensive line list. So Henry Lateef is somebody who was out all of spring ball with injury, but man, he really came along well at the end of last year. 1 year of eligibility left. Leader, he's going to be likely our left guard starter. So feel really good about Henry Lateef. Again, you see the theme here. I ranked Nebraska's center, left guard, and right guard on this list. You feel good about the interior O-line. The tackles, not so much. Henry Lateef, that's a good way to round things off going into the top 10. All right, let's get into the top 10. Let's go. Number 10 for the Huskers. I'm going to go with Vincent Shavers here. I think this is a very solid ranking for him. And Vincent Shavers is somebody where I could see him be the 20th best player in Nebraska's roster this year. I could see him go as high as number 3, depending on how he plays. But Vincent Shavers is somebody who, once again, has the high potential. In my opinion, there's 2 things I need him to work on, right? Continue to read Big Ten offenses at a high level, be the right place at the right time. And number 2, him in pass coverage. I mean, really, Vincent Shavers is not very good in pass coverage last year. Just wasn't, right? Especially in zone, man-to-man, just couldn't do that at high level. And that's not really his fault. He wasn't experienced that from high school. So Vincent Shavers, those are the 2 things I'm looking out for. We know he's so ferocious in the running game, one of the best tacklers on this team already. He's like Levante David, where he might not read the defense very well. He might not be in the right place initially, but he's going to be the right place at the end of the play because he's going to be tackling the opposing running back or quarterback. Because, again, he just knows how to sniff out the football. So Vincent Shavers, I'm going to put him at 10. I like that spot for him. Then I'm going to go to Samakola at number 9. And this is somebody who, man, the potential's through the roof. I think he could be a future first-round pick with only 1 year of eligibility remaining, just because he has all the measurables you can't teach at 6'5", about 240 pounds. I mean, just freak athlete. Literally definition of a freak athlete. Former big-time recruit coming to high school. He was a bigger recruit than Dawson Merritt back in the day. So I really like the Samakola's game, but again, moving back to the traditional position of Jack, there are a lot of question marks there. You know, he's one of those guys who's a jack of all trades, master of none. Can he become a master of being the jack? I don't know. We'll see that, right? So that's why he's only 9. I think Husker Online put him at 5. I'm not there yet with Samakola, although he did have strong spring ball. Again, I mean, there's a lot of question marks there with his Oklahoma career not going the way he really expected it. So going to put him there at number 9. Number 8, I'm going to go Marques Buford. Now, this is my hot take. I'm a lot higher on Marques Buford than a lot of other people. And I know, I'm going to be very honest with you, he wasn't good last year when he played, especially at corner. He was honestly unplayable. He got burnt throughout the year. But there's a good reason why he's not playing corner anymore, because we were desperate at corner. We had a lot of problems there last year, so we had to put him over there, where he's moving back to his traditional position of free safety. That's where he should have always been. When he has been healthy, which is rare, and when he has been at free safety, which is also rare, he's been very good. So I think Marques Buford won last year. He's going to be a very productive player at his traditional position. Is he somebody who's going to be an All Big Ten guy? Probably not, but I think he's going to be one of the more solid players on this defense, solid enough to get drafted, and I think he's going to be very productive. So I'm going to put him at number 8 there. Feel good about him, a lot higher than a lot of other people. Then let's go to number 7. I'm going to go with Emmett Johnson here. So Emmett, I think Husker Online, put him 3. I'm still high on Emmett, but I'm not number 3. I'm not number 2, not number 1 for Emmett. So the reason why I'm not as high on Emmett is just simply because, number 1, the production throughout his career has not been there. I know he probably should have played a lot more than last year, than what he was last year. But again, the production just isn't very impressive. It was good in the Wisconsin game. It was solid in the bowl game. But again, you go back to the Iowa game, really was unplayable in that game. A couple other games where he struggled. Pass pro, something he needs to continue to develop on. So Emmett Johnson does have a good ceiling on him. He's somebody who could be an every down running back for Nebraska. We haven't had that in a long time. He's probably our best returning running back since Divine Azigbo. So there's a lot to like. But, you know, I even go back to these Big Ten running back rankings. I've never seen a Big Ten running back ranking this entire year, this entire offseason, where Emmett Johnson's in the top 8. Like, he's just not. So, you know, Emmett Johnson, I think he's good, but we're at the point where I think he maybe is a little bit overrated. Like, and I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him. I've always been an Emmett Johnson truther. I told you guys last year that he should have started from day 1. But now we're to the point where he was severely underrated, now a little bit overrated. I'm going to put him at 7, which I think is a very respectable spot for him, because he's a good running back. Just don't know if he's a great, you know, top player on this team, worthy player, like some people are maybe spouting it up to be. Then at number 6, before we get into the top 5, going to go with Sear Wright here. Now, Sear Wright, somebody who played well last year at corner 2, kind of transitioned over to corner 1. But I told you guys the only thing with Sear that I'm a little bit worried about is, again, that's a tough adjustment. Going from corner 2 to corner 1, a lot of times these DBs, they struggle because you're going up against, you know, average wide receivers up to the best receivers in the country. Going up against a Jeremiah Smith when you're that corner 1. You're supposed to lock them down. So, you know, it took time for, you know, Cam Taylor-Britt to adjust to being the corner 1. It took time for Lamar Jackson to adjust to being the corner 1, for example. You know, even Tommy Hill, right? So you're right. It's going to take him some time. I think he's going to be really good as the year progresses. The only thing I'm looking out for is, again, that adjustment. And the number 2, please stay healthy. Please stay healthy, because that secondary, man, it's been decimated by injuries the past couple of years. All right. It's time for the top 5. You guys ready? I'm ready. Let's go to Mr. number 5 on this team. I'm going to go Marcus Watson Trent. Now, this is somebody, I'm going to say it. I think he's the best linebacker on this team for Nebraska. I've seen a lot of people put Shavers above him, Samakola above him, and both those guys are great players. I both put him in my top 10. But again, stats don't lie. This dude was top 10 tackles last year in America. He dominated his conference. He was the best player in the entire Sun Belt Conference. Okay, that tells you everything you know. If we just snagged the best player of a certain conference, and people aren't even putting him in the top 10. That's ridiculous to me. He's a solid player. He's somebody who had 120 tackles last year. He played in Nebraska 3 years ago when Georgia Southern beat us in our place, and he dominated that game as well. So he's played against good teams before. He's played against Power 4 teams before. So I think Marcus Watson Trent's going to ball out this year. I think it's going to be our starting middle linebacker. I see no reason why he's not going to have a phenomenal year, as he has throughout the past 3 years with Georgia Southern. And also, should be noted, he always stays healthy. He's somebody who doesn't get hurt. Availability is the best attribute you can have, and that's something that he has that box checked for. So I'm going to put him at number 5. Now on to number 4. This is where I'm going to put Dane Key at. So I love Dane Key. I love his game. I think he was a little bit disappointing last year. I think he wanted to go to the NFL after last season. Again, didn't have 1,000 receiving yards. I believe he only had 3 touchdowns the entire year. So Dane Key was somebody who, when you go to the film, I mean, he was productive as ever. Honestly, probably the reason why his stats weren't as good is because Kentucky had some issues at quarterback. But I really like Dane Key. I think, he's worthy of being the 4th best player on our team. I think he's somebody who's going to be drafted pretty high in the NFL draft. So 4 is a very good place for Mr. Dane Key. All right. Number 3, this is where I'm going to put Dylan. So again, I think I've looked at a bunch of rankings throughout, the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, and every single site, YouTuber, whatever, article, they all think that Dylan Raiola is going to be the number 1 player on this team. And I'm just not there yet with Dylan. Again, Dylan's number 3. That's a very good ranking. Very good ranking to put Dylan at. It's just that, you go back to the film last year, it wasn't worthy of being the number 1 player on our team. If we rank players from last year, Dylan was not even a top 10 player in Nebraska's roster last year. He just wasn't. If you go back to every single game that we played, he was not a top 10 player on our team. Okay. So you're telling me that he went from not being a top 10 player to the number 1 player overnight? I don't think so. And again, I'm still putting him at number 3. That's a very good ranking for him. And I do expect Dylan Raiola to take a huge jump, but the reason why I don't put him at number 1 or number 2 is because I think the guys who are above him, that we're about to talk about, are guys who are going to take a huge jump even more so. So Dylan Raiola, we're going to put him at number 3. Hopefully continue to improve. I think he will, but I'm very bullish about these next 2 guys that we're about to talk about. All right, let's get to number 2. If you guys have watched my videos throughout this offseason, you guys shouldn't be surprised by who I'm putting here. This is Sean Singleton. Now, listen, Sean Singleton, I think, is going to be best player on this defense. I think he's going to be somebody who gets drafted very high. He was balling on spring ball, one of the MVPs throughout that time. So, man, very, very excited about Sean Singleton. I think he's going to be, this is the first time his entire career where he has a healthy offseason with the same coaching staff. That's never happened his entire career. He's only 22 years old. We talk about him like he's some old guy with nothing else to prove. He's just been injured throughout his entire career. We haven't seen a full version of Sean Singleton, and when we have seen him, he's played very well. So the only thing I'm looking out for Sean Singleton is to develop himself in zone coverage. Besides that, man, he's a hard hitter, somebody who's great instincts, very athletic. Feel good about Sean Singleton at number 2. And then you guys probably already know who number 1 is at this point in time. None other than Mr. Elijah Pritchett. No, I'm kidding. It's Jacory Barney. Jacory Barney, listen. I think Jacory Barney is one of the more disrespected players on Nebraska's roster at this point. I'm going to be very honest with you. I think the conversations this offseason, they've been, of course, talking Dylan up, talking Emmett up, talking Dane Key up. We talk about all these transfers all the time. Jacory Barney, without hyperbole, was the best player on this offense last year. He was way better than Dylan last year. He was way better than any running back on our roster last year. He was way better than Jamal Banks, Isaiah Nair. It wasn't even a question. And with Jacory Barney's playmaking ability, there were games that we probably shouldn't have won that we ended up winning. Or, we shouldn't have won by as much as we did, but we did because Jacory Barney made plays. The Wisconsin game was a great example. We started the game off with a huge kick return that really bolstered our momentum. Who knows if we win that game if it weren't for him, getting things going from the jump. So Jacory Barney is somebody who I'm going to continue to, talk about him at a high level. I think he's going to be somebody who, at the end of the year, we talk about as one of the best receivers in the country. And he's going to be so hyped up going into 2026. And again, I love Dane Key. I love some of these other guys we just talked about in the receiver core and the rest of this team. But Jacory Barney, in my opinion, has the high potential of literally anybody on this team, maybe not named Dylan. And with last year's production, I just see no reason why he's not going to take a huge jump forward and be our single-digit number 2 player. I think he's going to rock the number 2, even though he's the number 1 player on this team, in my opinion. So, all right, guys, that's it. My top 20 players for Nebraska going into this year. My honorable mentions, I do have Elijah Pritchett at number 21. So Elijah Pritchett on the outside looking in. Again, I'm not very bullish on Elijah, but again, he does get that 21 spot. Buddha Wright just barely missed out. William Suneri, Malcolm Hartzog just missed out on my top 20. Demitrius Bell, somebody who I'm a lot higher on than a couple other people. But those are the honorable mentions. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you disagree with? What do you agree with? Let me know in the comment section. I'm sure I'm going to get some crazy comments, so I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. Hit that like button and subscribe if you made this far. As always, folks, go my rule, and I'll see you in the next one.